Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video on Thor Jane Foster after her buff. We're gonna go through a bunch of fights. We're gonna talk about the attributes and the concept. Also a quick gameplay video with offensive and defensive stat focus and with the recommended relics. Also, we'll go explain some of the best matchups and how she does against the meta defender. So let's jump into it. Now the first thing you need to know about this video that Jane Foster is only available as a 6-star right now. 7-star is coming soon. So for that reason I am going to boost super well and I am using all the big boosts just to try to get her to a 7-star rank 4 kind of attack damage. But that's not going to help because on one of the abilities on Thor Jane Foster is her damage increases with every shock she gains on herself. So that scaling doesn't happen well when it comes to your rank difference. So having that out of the way, let's look at what Kabam has given to this champion when it comes to the score. So as you notice that the survivability is quite low on Thor Jane Foster and the utility is also super low, and she is not a defender at all with that defender strength of 1 only. But one thing she has going for her is a lot of damage, that is 4.5. and she is very easy to use with the 4. So having that into the mind, let's look at a quick gameplay summary. So essentially, how do you play? So you use your heavy attacks when you can chain them like Doom, so right there, and that applies a stagger. And when there's a stagger already applied, if you use another heavy attack, then that heavy attack is going to crit, as you just saw. Now, essentially, you have to build up your fervor and get as many of those shocks on yourself, because for every shock that is applied on you, your damage is increased and you deal quite a bit of damage. So Sp2 gives you fervor that helps you gain those charges faster. Now, once you have 15 of them, you're capped out. You can either use an Sp2 to cash them out for a big Sp2 damage of shocks, or if you have a shock immune defender, you can go with an Sp3 rotation that gives you a bunch of damage and also a lot of armor with crit rating. So that is how you go about the gameplay. So right here I'm going against Nova and I'm just going in and making sure that my stagger is applied and I can remove all of those buffs. She is going to be a champion that is going to be very vanilla in the sort that she is going to work best against old school cosmic defenders that have buffs, and you can just stagger them out. Once they don't have that, you are good to go. Another good thing about Thor Jane Foster is when you have around 7 of those shocks built up on you, you also apply a wither on the opponent, so that can also help you control some sort of power on those cosmic champions. Now, having that out of the way, as we remember that she has a lot of damage, and for all of those crits, the best stat focus for it when it comes to offense is going to be crit rating. And the second one for defense would be armor. Because her survivability it's only 2, so armor works super well for that. Also for your relics, there's only one relic that is recommended, that is going to be an Iron Fist relic, because you do extra damage and you punch really hard when you use a heavy attack with the Iron Fist relic. So make sure that you put that up, and that works out super well for Thor Jane Foster. Now let's talk about the best matchups that for Thor Jane Foster. They are going to be your regular cosmic champions with the buffs that you can control with your stagger, and if they have some kind of power gain like Hyperion or Nova, so you can control them with the wither that you apply once you have 7 of those self-shock debuffs on you. So those are going to be the best champions. So she can make very short work of Gorr, Hyperion, Medusa. All of these champions like really crumble against her, but she does not work against some of your crazy meta defenders. So what I'm talking about, she's not a good option against your Serpent. She's not a good option against Maestro. You can do Maestro, but that's going to be quite a long fight once his passive debuffs, passive buffs, they get activated. So any cosmic champion with active buffs that you can stagger, that's going to work super well. And also she doesn't work against the Dark Phoenixes, the Circes. All of those champions that can disperse your damage are not really good options for Thor Jane Foster. So I would not say she's not really a meta breaking champion, but she does work against some of those cosmic champions, not all of them. Now here's an example of a really good matchup that is going to be Medusa. Now for the whole fight you will notice that she will not gain 3 furies to get her auto block, and the stagger will always be up there allowing me to do enough damage, and every time she is going to nullify, she's going to stagger a fury, I'm going to get a shock debuff on me, increasing my damage and ramping me up. Then all I get to do is to throw an Sp3. Once you throw that Sp3 out, you gain extra damage and crit rating, and you gain quite a bit of power. That the power rate is increased that you can use to hit the opponent and chain your specials, and you do great. So right here, totally shutting Medusa down. So she's going to be that fun champion that you can use every now and then when you don't feel like bringing in your heavy hitters. Now here's an example of a champion that is going to be shock immune, and how do you deal with that? So primarily I think there are 2 ways to play Jane Foster. One is where you use the shock, and once you have built up all of those 15 shocks on yourself, if the champion is not shock immune, you just throw a big Sp2, and that damage with the shock, the payoff really kills anybody. But there is a second way when the defender is shock immune, is that you go with the Sp3 rotation. You keep building your shocks so your damage is always ramped up, and because you're using Sp3 you get an extra crit rating after that, then you get extra power rate, so you get to an Sp3 faster. So that is the best way in my opinion to play with these champions. If you want to use an Sp3 or if you want to use an Sp2 rotation, it's up to you what kind of a defender you're going against. If you're going against a defender that is going to be shock immune, go for the Sp1, Sp2 rotation. If not, then go for the Sp1, Sp3 rotation. So even the shock immunity does not matter, because your heavy attacks will do quite a bit of the crit damage. And thus, as you notice, Super Skrull is being brought down. 32,000 crits on heavy attacks is just nuts. So what are my thoughts about this champion? Now she is not going to be a champion that's gonna break the meta. She is going to be a simple champion that is in their roster to have fun, and I think that was the intention as well. When we look at the ease of use and the utility of the champion, she is not, off the charts crazy. I would not be ranking her up if it were not me. Maybe a rank 5. Maybe a rank 5 would be okay, not even ascend her, just for some niche matchups, and I definitely won't be wanting her from a 7-star crystal. So yeah, that is going to be my verdict. As the video title says, God or garbage. I would not say she's not garbage, but she is somewhere in between. So she's like one of those mid-range champions that you have in your roster just in case. So you've been informed, so make your decisions if you want to rank her up. And yeah, that is going to be that for this video. I'm going to leave you with a takedown with Deathless Thanos, which I think is one of our more impressive fights, and also a fight with Serpent as I talk you through them. So yeah, this is going to be Deathless Thanos. Now the biggest thing here, you get easy openings because you can easily chain your basic attacks with the stun after 4 hits or even before that. And the way Deathless Thanos works is that if you do too many hits on him, he's going to gain that unstoppable charge and eventually go unstoppable. So all you can do is 1 hit heavy. Once you do that, that is going to do enough damage, around 30,000, 32,000 per heavy attack. So that is the way to deal with Thanos. That also keeps all of those staggers up every time, and the damage also going to be nuts. So let's do that again. 12,000, 27,000. Here we go. Now wait for the SP1 out. There we go. We go back in. 1 hit into heavy again. Look at that. Almost 30,000. And just like that, it's going to be a bit slow, but you'll be able to take him down. Again, remember, this is a champion that is only an ascended champion. That's not a rank 4. So the rank 4 numbers will be crazy on another level. So here we go again. Heavy attack, 32,000, because we just used an SP3. And that gives us extra oomph in our criticals. And here we go. Back again. And with the big SP2 payoff, with that shock damage, we take him down. Now the last showcase and the last fight on the video is going to be a Serpent. Now this is going to be a fun one. Now there are a few things that work really well against Serpent, and then there are a few things that just don't work against Serpent if you're using Jane Foster. So the first thing first, you need to know that once you apply staggers on Serpent, she also will stagger the true focus buff. So you can actually dex and you can evade the special attacks. That is one that works out. Secondly, when there are 7 shock buffs on yourself and you use a special attack, you apply a wither on the opponent. Now that wither is quite potent and you can use that to control his power with all the power gain, and also at the end of the fight when he has his immortality up, the wither really helps you out a lot. So I would say the best way to deal with this kind of a fight, if you have to use Thor Jane Foster, is to go with the Sp2 rotation and you will do good. So, and actually at the start of the fight I did not realize I can dex, but then I think middle of the fight I realized, oh, I can dex the special 2s and also the special ones because he does not have true focus. Because of stagger, it keeps getting nullified, so that does work out in your favor. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. Let me know what you think about the format. Do you want me to do more of these videos, because I'm planning to do a bit of them? And let me know how else you want to know about the champion. I will keep it super simple and super easy for, you know, somebody with my skill, that is most of the community who doesn't play well, can get through and look at the champion in an objective way. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you on the next one, that is going to be Spider-Man Pavitra Babakar. See you next time. Bye.